Dear students, now let us come to the chapter sources. This is our third class as history is concerned. In our previous class, yesterday, we studied about primary sources. Primary sources. Primary sources are further classified into how many types? Two types. Which are they? First one is literary sources and another one is archaeological sources. These are the two types of primary sources. Now, these literary sources are further divided into two types. One is written literature and another one is oral literature. Written literature and oral literature, these two are the main types of literary sources. Written literature is the main source of written literature. What is the importance of this? Why it is written? Means it is recorded. It is in written form. Proofs are there, evidences are there, therefore, it is one of the primary sources to study the historical factors. Now, the importance of this native literature is by reading or if you go through the native literature, we can understand the contemporary social life of past human beings. Past human beings. Contemporary means at the same period, at the same time, the social life of human beings we can understand by these written literature. See, it also explains the political, social, cultural, moral and other informations of the past. There are two types in written literary forms. Written literature. In written literature, there are further two types. One is native. Yesterday we studied native literature and foreign literature. Foreign literature. Yes, students, what do you mean by native literature? The literature which produced by Indians is called native literature. Native means these literatures were created through Indians. Indians itself, they created this native literature. They had written the historical factors being an Indian. This is called native literature. Therefore, the literature created by Indians in native languages, that is important. They created this native literature in native means local languages. Gujarati, Tamil, Oriya, Hindi, whether it is in Kannada, etc. Native languages. By reading all these, we can understand the contemporary style of human beings or lifestyle of human beings. Can you give some examples for this native literature? Yesterday I told Halas, Gata, Saptasati. Shatavahana king, the last king of Shatavahana, he was Hala. He wrote Gata Saptasati. Then Kautilya or Vishnugupta or Chanakya. Chanakya, Kautilya, Vishnugupta. These three names belonged to Kautilya. He wrote which Shastra? Arthashastra, Kautilya's Arthashastra, Gunadhya's Brihat Katha, Hala's Gatha Saptasati. Then Mudra Rakshasa. Who wrote Mudra Rakshasa? Kallana. Kallana's Mudra Rakshasa. Rajatarangini. Rajatarangini. Then Harsha Banabhatta's Harsha Charita. Banabhatta's Harsha Charita. Then Chandbardai's Prithvi Raja Raso. Pampa's famous work Vikramarjuna Vijaya. All these they explain, they describe, they focused its attention on the native or Indian history. Its main aim, telling the historical factors. For example, Vikramarjuna Vijaya. Who wrote Vikramarjuna Vijaya? Pampa. In his work Vikramarjuna Vijaya, Pampa describes his royal patronage, his emperor, who Arikesari. He hyperbole his works, his court, and he also explains about the social life of his master, means Arikesari. The social condition, cultural condition of the period. By this we can understand the history of that period, Pampa's period or Arikesari's period. These are the native literatures. Their importance is totally it gives the clear picture of that period, that is native literature. Another one, foreign literature. As we already know that many foreigners who came to India for the purpose of business or trade, for the purpose of embassy, some of them are ambassadors, some of them are travelers, some of them are merchants like Dutch, French, English. Abdul Razak, he came to India as a traveler. Fahian, he came to India as a traveler. He observed or he travelled throughout India and collected some useful factors and written down. He had written all these records or proofs in his works. By reading Fahian's work, Abdul Razak's work, Ptolemy's work, we can understand the situation of India, historical situation of India of that period. Huensang, Fahian, see, Megasthenes, a traveler and also an ambassador, he wrote Megasthenes' famous work Indica. Fahian's Go Ko Ki. Go Ko Ki. Go Ko Ki. It was one of the famous work of Fahian. Then Huensang's C.U. Ki. C.U. Ki. Who wrote this? Huensang. His famous book C.U. Ki. Ptolemy, he wrote about geography, about our earth and earth's condition of that period. Thus, foreign literatures are also very helpful to understand our history. What is its importance? Importance is the same like native literature. Native literature focused or it gives information about contemporary social, cultural, educational and other conditions of that period. In the same way, here also they explained the same thing: cultural life of Indians, morality of Indians, spiritual life of Indians, food patterns of Indians, dress code of Indians, they are explained in their work. But it is different from foreign literature, is different from native literature. Why? That is the question. Because all these foreign writers, whether it is Huyen Tsang, Ptolemy, Fahian, Abdul Razak, they wrote Indian historical factors in their own mother language or native language, means they used foreign language. But it is very difficult to Indian historians to understand the whole work of these foreign travelers or foreigners. Why? There are some limitations are there. Some factors are not clear. Some factors are Indian historians are not able to read and understand it. Historians tolerate all these limitations and make assumptions while writing history. This is one of the defect of foreign literature. We can't understand the foreign language. Therefore, the historical factors written depending upon this foreign literature is not 100% correct. But this native literature, if a historian write history or historical factors by using native literature, it is correct. Why? It is related to our native language. It is very easy to understand the native languages by himself or by getting the help of others. Therefore, native literature is reliable to historians. And these in the native literature or in foreign literature, all the writers, all the authors, they praised their royal emperor, their diplomatic kings. What you say in Kannada, Hogalu Butter. For example, Pampa in his Vikramarjuna Vijaya, he exaggerated, means glorifies his owner. Who is the owner? King. He gave royal patronage to Pampa. Therefore, he praised Harikesari. And sometimes there are hyperbole about the royal power. Hyperbole means more exciting, telling the facts in more excitement and loyalty. They should show loyalty to their royal diplomatic person. They should show loyalty. They should be loyal to their kings or emperor. Therefore, they praised their kings, and praising their kings, they wrote many factors or informations related to that period's historical events. Now, second one is oral literature. Native literature, foreign literature are the classifications of written literature. Literary sources. The literary sources classified into written and oral. In written, two types, native and foreign. Now, oral literature. What is oral means? Oral, vocal. Oral literature. Look here. Since from the beginning of human life, they didn't know anything. After a long period of time, they produced certain sounds to say something. To say something, they used sounds with the others. In the period of prehistoric age. In historic age, man learned the art of writing. Art of writing. But since from the beginning, there are no languages, only sounds. They expressed their views or news through sounds. Here, oral literature means the folk story, folk songs and folk legends. Folk story, Janapada Kate, folk legends and folk songs. Folk story, Janapada Kate, legends. What do you say in Kannada? Danta Kate. Here, legends means it may true or may not be true. It is not correct. May or may not. Then folk songs, Janapada Hadugalu. All these stories, legends, songs passes through mouth to mouth, mouth to mouth. There was no written documents. There was no proper author or poet. It spread through mouth to mouth. These stories, legends, songs gives information about our Indian history or historical factors of our India. Since the beginning of human life, human beings are passing on their experiences in the form of story. They passes, spread their experiences, views, news through sounds and then through mouth, stories, not through sounds. He learned the art of speaking, art of speaking. Thus, the folk people have created many ballads. Folk people, Janapada, they are not illiterate. They did not know any alphabets, but they are not illiterate. They are literate one. They wrote, they practiced, they told many ballads. What is ballads means? In Kannada that is Lavani. It is a song related to a particular person who is a hero. This is the song related to local heroes, that is called ballads. For example, there are ballads in Kumara Rama. Ballads means song describes a hero. Kumara Rama, Kadugali Kumara Rama. The full name of the work is Kadugali Kumara Rama. Kadugali means hero. Who was hero? Kumara Rama. It is a name of a person. Kadugali Kumara Rama. Sindura Lakshmana. Veera Sindura Lakshmana. Kempe Gauda. Vonake Obava. Sanchi Honnamma. Then Sangolli Rayanna, a great freedom fighter, Sangolli, freedom fighter of Karnataka, Sangolli Rayanna. Then Tippu Sultan, he was famous because of his heroic deeds. He was called Tiger of Mysore. Who was called Tiger of Mysore? Tippu. Then Meadows Taylor and others, Lakshmana, Meadows Taylor, a hero, and others, ballads are there. These ballads are very helpful during the time of writing to the historians. Therefore, there are some folk stories, legends, songs and ballads are also there about a particular area. For example, Alike or Bengaluru, Mysore, Gokarna, Udupi. That places have its own stories, folk stories. Why Udupi is known as Udupi? Why Alike is known as Alike? Why Chitradurga is known as Chitradurga? There are so many stories related to these factors. Therefore, this oral literature is also helpful while writing history. That is about oral literature. Now, the second category is archaeological sources. Archaeological sources. What is archaeology? What is archaeology? That is the first question here. To understand the archaeological sources, first of all, we should know what is archaeology. Do you have any idea about archaeology? Archaeology studies history and it preserves the historical monuments and others. Others means anything or any object that related to history. That department is at present is also there. The main office of this archaeological department is in New Delhi. Archaeological sources are also very important, like written sources. Now, what is archaeological sources and what are its importance? First of all, these archaeological sources are divided into 4 categories. How many categories? 4 categories. Which are the 4? First one is inscription. First one is inscription. Second one is coins. Third one is monuments. Third one is monuments. And the last one is other ruins. What is the ruins means? Other ruins. Ruins means remainings. Palayulikegalu. To understand the archaeological sources, we have to study inscription, coins, monuments and other remainings of ancient India. By studying this, we can understand the past events of India. First one, archaeological sources are available not only on the surface of the earth. That is important. Not only on the surface of the earth. It means not only on the surface of the earth, means on the interior of the earth also. Therefore, archaeological sources are available in the earth or on the earth and in underground outside the earth. How if it is the sources are on the surface, it is very easy to find out these sources. If it is in the inside the earth or in the depth of the earth, how can we understand these sources? It includes scientific methods. It includes scientific methods. What is a scientific method? This process of digging out of the depth of the earth is called what? Whether it is mining? No, it is called excavation. Excavation. Through excavation or through the process of excavation, we can dig the earth's interior sources to understand the history in a better manner. Therefore, the question is, what is excavation? The hidden things in the earth are dug out by using scientific methods. The hidden things of the earth is dug out by the scientific method. This digging of things from the inside the earth is called excavation. That is called excavation. Therefore, there are archaeological sources inside the earth and also outside the earth. For example for this excavation, Harappan civilization. When did it come to an existence? In that Indus Valley civilization, in the nearby areas of Indus River, people started to construct roads. While digging that place, while constructing, they dug out the earth. At that period, they had got certain coins, terracotta images. What is a terracotta images means? Images or pictures or drawings carved out by a pot. The pot was constructed or made up of mud. Manninda madida patra. Then bones of dead bodies. These are the sources related to history. We got information through excavations. Historians studied all these archaeological sources and studied it in a scientific manner, and they got a new idea. In this place, there was a civilization. In olden days, there was a civilization was there. Which civilization? That is none other than Indus Valley civilization. We get this information through excavations. Yes, now we can understand what is inscription. What is inscription? Now, inscriptions mean engraved writing, chiseled out writing, kettuvike, engraved or chiseled out writings is called what? inscriptions. What is inscription? Inscription means it is a chiseled out or engraved writing. Inscriptions are written on stone, rock, metal, ivory, terracotta means mud, and other materials that last longer. It is permanent. Therefore, inscriptions can be right on rock, stone, metal, ivory, terracotta and other materials. It produces what? Informations to historians. Inscriptions are more reliable as these have a direct relationship with the events. These inscriptions are in a written form. It has its own alphabets. Therefore, it is very easy to the historians to read and explain the past events. Therefore, inscriptions are also the best type of archaeological sources. For example, Ashoka's pillar inscription, Mayurali's pillar inscription, then other pillar inscriptions like Veeragamba inscriptions are there in the form of writing. Then Ashoka's inscriptions are the earliest inscriptions found in India. Maurya's famous emperor, Ashoka, his inscriptions are the earliest inscription about India. There in Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Sanskrit and Prakrit languages, Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription, a great pillar at Allahabad, it has inscription. Through inscription, we can get enormous a lot of informations regarding our history. Then Immadi Pulakeshi's inscriptions. Pulakeshi second is also called Immadi Pulakeshi. Pillar inscriptions of Immadi Pulakeshi. Then Aihole inscription, Karavela's Hathigumpa inscription and other inscriptions portrays means shows. The Uttaramerur inscription narrated the rural administration. Uttaramerur inscription, it explains the rural administration, village administration of Chola kings. They are related to a particular village. They are not the emperors or they are not king of kings. Their rule, their reign was confined to a particular region. Thus, apart from these, many political, social, cultural, economic, educational, religious aspects are reflected in these inscriptions. We can get a number of informations regarding social life, cultural life, educational life, religious life, spiritual life, economic life, etc. How? Through these inscriptions. If we go through those inscriptions, we can understand all these things. Students, second one is coins. Coins. We shall study about coins in our next class. Today we shall stop our class and please take down certain questions and write answers in your social homework book, not in social notes. Take down. Explain about oral literature. Explain about oral literature. Which are the various archaeological sources? Second question, which are the various archaeological sources? Third one, define excavation. Define excavation. Fourth one, write a short note on inscriptions. Write a short note on inscriptions. Sai Ram.